Welcome to my Sister Locks experience. If you are new here, welcome. If you are returning, hey girl. I'm super excited to come to you with another Sister Locks video and provide you with another monthly Sister Locks-a-versary update. So I'm really excited that I have officially now hit 23 months locked. Time has gone by so fast. I cannot believe I am just 1 month shy of my 2-year Sister Locks-a-versary. It feels like I just got my locks installed and I'm already at that 2-year, pretty much at that 2-year mark. So just like with any Sister Locks-a-versary, I am excited to share with you progress on my hair, including what has stayed the same, what has changed, and what I have discovered or learned since in the course of a month. So let's jump into it. What has stayed the same? Pretty much everything. My hair care routine is pretty much the same. There's really no change in how I maintain my locks. My locks don't look very different to me. They look about the same. So there's not a whole lot in terms of, in terms of what has stayed the same. Pretty much everything. Everything has for the most part stayed the same in terms of how I care for my locks and how they visibly look. What has changed? In my opinion, there is probably one significant change since I reported on my progress a month ago, which is my wash day routine is less cumbersome. Practice makes perfect. So something that isn't talked about very often, in my opinion, at least I haven't come across this with vloggers and bloggers on Sister Locks and their journey, is how you transition from braiding and banding to wash your hair to no longer braiding and banding. It's a huge relief that I no longer have to braid and band because your girl was not feeling that. I did what I had to do, but I was very excited and relieved to know I could just wash my hair and without anything other than getting in the shower, wetting my hair, and starting to wash it. The thing that isn't talked about often is it's a lot. It feels like, you've gone from these braids where it's very somewhat controlled and maintained in the shower to a full head of locks that are now wet. I felt like, I got a little bit of hair. I don't even have a whole lot of hair. I felt like I was getting slapped in the face with my locks and just, oh my gosh, struggling at first. And so that process has gotten much more smooth. I feel like I have a method to my madness when I wash my hair. And maybe I'll do a video on that one day just to kind of show you the process. But it's not rocket science. Like, I'm not sectioning my hair off or doing a whole lot of that stuff. But there are some things that I do that kind of help the process to just manage my hair a little bit better while I'm washing it. So that has gotten better. So that was something that I would consider is a change from just even a month ago. In terms of what I have learned or discovered since just a month ago is I was under the impression that my damaged ends, that I have pretty much trimmed off most of my damaged ends. I've shared with you all before that when I got my Sister Locks installed, my hair was jacked up, like for real. Like I had heat damage in the front because I wore sew-ins a lot, and so I would wear my hair in a leave out, and your girl didn't want to have taco meat mixed in with like some silky hair. So I was like flat ironing the life out of my hair. So pick your poison. I didn't have taco meat, but I caused significant heat damage to this kind of the crown of my hair because that was the part of my hair that was often left out. But then I also just simply had split ends. The pandemic did a number on your girl. Like I had some damaged hair as a result of just not properly caring for my hair, not going to the salon as often, and that's neither here nor there. But what resulted is I went to get my hair installed, and what I should have done was gone and had my ends trimmed first. So I'm telling you, word to the wise, sis, go ahead, and trim them ends. Like, go on and trim them. You know, it's so important to start with a good base when you get your locks, because if you can, like, there are certain things you can't avoid. If you have a relaxer, if you have heat damage like I did, like certain areas I just could not cut out because I wouldn't have had any hair in my hair was so damaged in the front. I mean, it was practically damaged to, I think I might have had like 2 inches of new growth, for real. So there wasn't a whole lot that I could do in that section. But what I discovered, what I have learned since last month is there are still some locks in here that are pretty bad. Like, the ends are, of course, I can't find anyone in particular, but there was one that I discovered when I was preparing to work out. I put my hair like up in a pineapple, and one of my locks was just kind of sticking out, and I looked at it and I looked a little bit closer, and you could tell that was one of the ends that were damaged, like heat damaged ends or split ends. I'm not exactly sure which. And that section of my hair, the end of it, the lock just looked a lot different than the rest of my part of that lock. So I recognized that long term, that's just not going to work for me. And I just don't like it. So I'm probably going to cut it off, like cut that part of my lock off that's really dead, because that part of my hair is never going to lock the same as the rest of my hair. So in fact, it looks very weak to me on the end of it. So more to come on that, because that's going to be a process over time. And in being naive in terms of never having gone through this process until now. So, you know, I don't know, like, the one thing with having sister locks is I'm learning as I go, because I've never had sister locks before. So, you know, I thought by 2 years that a lot of that would have taken care of itself, but I'm learning that that's not necessarily the case. So I need to kind of go and look through my hair and I'll ask my loctician to help me with that. And just over time, we'll continue to trim anything that is damaged on the end. So that's something that I discovered that is new. So that's pretty much my update on my hair. So that's what has stayed the same. You know, nothing, you know, everything's pretty much stayed the same. What has changed is just my wash routine is a lot more smooth and less cumbersome, just because I think it's because I've done it a number of times now that I'm no longer braiding and banding. And then what have I discovered or learned is that I've learned that I have some locks in my hair where the ends just are going to have to be trimmed, because there's still some that are either heat damaged or a result of having really ratty ends when I got my locks installed. So those are the key parts of my update. Just as any other Sister Locks-a-versary, any monthly Sister Lock-a-versary, I do have a question of the month. And the question of the month really stems from my kind of awareness of, you know, growing awareness, I should say, of all the different types of locks that a person can get. Since I joined the lock community, I have just grown more and more intrigued at the different things that our hair can do, and it's remarkable. So like traditional locks, I have an older sister who has beautiful traditional locks. She's had them before, and she just recently got a new set of traditional locks. My mom has sister locks as well, which I keep saying I'm going to do a video on. Again, I really am. A part of it is just our schedules matching up. So my mom has beautiful sister locks. My husband has an aunt who has micro traditional locks, and they're absolutely beautiful. She's had them for a long time. Like, they're really long, really beautiful, very healthy. My loctician has micro locks that she installed herself, so they're not sister locks, but she started with a small twist and she interlocks them at the root, and they are beautiful. And so there's just so many different lock styles out there. So I want to know from you guys, what is your preference? Like, if you had to choose, and if you have made a choice, if you already have locks, what kind of locks do you have and why? Why did you make that choice? And if you don't have locks and you are just kind of researching and learning about them, what kind of locks do you prefer? Do you prefer braid locks? Do you prefer twist locks? Do you prefer traditional locks, micro locks, sister locks, interlocked, traditional locks? There's so many options with locks right now. So what is your preference and why? And don't be ashamed if you're like me and you're like, well, I don't really know the difference with half of these locks, because sometimes I'm like a little bit confused. I don't really know the difference either. But it is really fascinating to see all that our hair can do. And so I'm just curious to hear, what is your lock preference? Is it micro locks, traditional palm rolled locks, interlocking locks, sister locks? What's your tiny locks, braid locks? And the list goes on. What's your preference? I'm curious to hear that. All right. Without further ado, I am going to give you a little view of my hair. You'll notice there's a little bit of curl to my hair because your girl did something other than get up and go, which I'll have to talk about later. But I've lost a lot of the curl that I had, but this is some exciting, just kind of a different look for my hair that was pretty easy to do. So I will get going here. So again, I like to show in all of my videos when I'm sharing my hair, and I'll get kind of close. You can see the texture, but in all of my videos, I like to share where I started. So I did start with anywhere between 10 to 15 inches. I always forget. I think it was between 10 to 15 inches on some pretty jacked up hair. I did have a significant amount of heat damage in the front of my hair primarily, but then sparsely throughout my hair. And that's kind of how my journey started. My install took around between 33 and 35 hours. I lose count over the course of 4 days. And so that's just a little bit about me. I have 4C hair. I was a loose natural. Again, I had a lot of heat damage, but I was a loose natural. Started on 4C hair again. What else am I missing about talked about, and then I have small to medium sister locks. Those were the size preferences that I have. So I have the smallest in the front and they get larger in the back. And there was one other thing and I can't remember what it was right now, but it'll come to me. I have a 4-point rotation. That was the other thing. So my locks are interlocked on a 4-point rotation, just in case you're curious. I always try to give the background of my hair because when I was trying to decide if I wanted sister locks and I would see videos, I'd have a lot of questions like, well, how long was your hair when you first got it and all of that stuff. So I try to share that when I can. So you can kind of see, a little bit of my grid. I'm trying to do this in a way that you can actually see. And I am not grid obsessed. Like, I know some people are very particular and they want their grid to look pristine. Now, I do want my hair, you can see the back. I do want my hair to be neat, and I want my locks to be healthy, and I want them to be full. Oh, I have 500 locks. That's the other question that a lot of times I get. I do have 500 locks. And my hair is about average density. So I didn't have like, my hair is not thin. I've never really had thin hair. but it wasn't like super thick either. So it's about average density. But back to the grid, I do think, making sure your your hair is neat and well cared for. But I'm not one of those people that I expect my grid to be sharp, every single time. In fact, when I get my hair retied, I do request from my loctician to omit the final rotation, that she goes one less pass through. I don't know, I wouldn't call it a full rotation, but one less pass through, so that we're not causing unnecessary tension. That's just my preference. Because if this is a style that I plan on wearing for a very extended time, I don't ever plan on cutting my hair. I'm sure I'll probably get to an age where I just need to and have to, but I really don't plan on not having sister locks. And so if that's going to be the case, then I have to make sure I'm doing things that promote that longevity. And I feel like sometimes over obsession over your grid can result in poor behaviors. That's just my 2 cents. That is Yvette's philosophy and theology on sister locks. Whether or not it's actually true, I don't know, but it's working for me right now. But that's really all that I had today. Please answer the question of the month in the comments below. Please comment below. Make sure you subscribe, that you hit that notification bell, because you want to see when I drop a new video. Like, come on, sis, go ahead and hit the subscription. Go ahead and subscribe. It don't cost you a thing. Go ahead and hit that notification bell so you know when I've uploaded a new video. And then answer the question of the month in the comments below. What is your lock preference? Whether you have locks or you're thinking about getting locks, do you prefer sister locks, micro locks? Do you prefer twist locks? Do you prefer braid locks? Do you prefer traditional locks, palm roll locks? Whatever lock preference you have. And if you don't know, just say, you know what? I really don't know. I'm just trying to discover what's out there. So let me know in the comments below. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.